12:18 here on TSN 690. It's Game Points with Matthew Ross. We're here till the top of the hour. Mo Khan in studio, Stefano Micella as well, and Marco Polo on the board. We are now joined by the proprietor of mayorsmanor.com. You can also follow him on twitter.com/mayornhl. It is Mr. John Hoven. Hey, John, how you doing?
I can't come on after that music. What are we doing over there?
I just said to Marco Polo, what about the CM Punk music? And he said, yeah, it's true. We should have played that. And he says, we'll play it on the way out. So I said, all right.
We might not make it to the outro, but we'll give it a shot. Jeez.
So the Blue Jackets have won 7 games in a row now.
Mm-hmm.
Nathan Horton has played 8 games. Coincidence or no?
Well, I certainly think that it's more than a coincidence. He's a guy who obviously they had targeted and wanted to add to their lineup this year, and had some injuries and whatnot that prevented him from being part of the lineup at the beginning of the year. So, he was a big time acquisition, I would say, when you look at the retooling of that roster that's gone on over the last couple of years with the exit of Rick Nash and Jeff Carter among others. So good on the Jackets, great arena, nice support there in Columbus, and good for them for, getting on a little bit of a streak here.
And, I mean, can you imagine if they had Gaborik?
It's not just one or two players, though, that's going to help put the Blue Jackets over the top. They're in the middle of a retooling, like you said. They did get a new president there and, new GM, and it just it takes a while to get back on track. But they have a lot of pieces to be happy about right now, and maybe if they can ever get rid of those hideous jerseys and get something better in there, then that'll be another step forward in the right direction.
Oh, man, those things are brutal, huh?
They're terrible.
I'm wondering which ones the Wild have a couple of bad ones as well. They have one, I think, I'm trying to remember the one that they like. Mo Khan here in studios, our logo and apparel aficionado. Do you like any of the Blue Jacket jerseys?
They changed their away uniform, which looks a lot cleaner than before. They still have that god-awful red Christmas uniform, which is terrible. But their green one...
You're talking about the Wild, yeah.
Yes, the green one with Minnesota enforced... Kelly Green with the cream-colored Minnesota word mark is gorgeous. So I do like the alternate and the away uniform right now for them.
All right, let's talk about some more... relevant things.
Well, let me weigh on this one here as well.
Ooh,
I posted a while back my rankings from top to bottom.
That's right, yeah.
Best and worst jerseys in the NHL, and took some flack, of course, from people that love to think that jerseys are great looking just because they're old and they've been around for a long time. But certainly at the bottom of the list there, the bottom 5, you had to rank Nashville, Minnesota, Carolina, the Avalanche, the Blue Jackets, down amongst the bottom 5.
I like the Avs. It's kind of cool, no?
No, it's
you don't
crusty.
like it?
It's really crusty.
It's old, yeah? Okay. All right, he agrees with you. Mo agrees with you, yeah.
I'll tweet that list, and you guys can debate it.
Yeah, okay, MoCon19 on Twitter.com for you, John.
I'm familiar.
All right. I didn't want to assume. Now, on to more pressing matters. We've talked in the past about how good the Ducks are this year, 20-0-2 at home, but they may lose tonight. They're losing right now in the third period to Winnipeg, of all teams, 3-2. Jets going for their 4th win in a row.
Yeah, it's crazy, and of course they get Evander Kane back, and you look at what he's been able to do tonight, getting a shorthanded goal, helping them out. But 3-2, that game's far from over. There's plenty of time left, and the Ducks, if there's one team this year that's had a lot of late-game magic in them, it's been the Anaheim Ducks. You have to think back just a few weeks ago against Vancouver with just a few ticks left on the clock in regulation. They tie the game, and then with 1 second left in overtime, Corey Perry gets the game winner. So that game's far from over as far as I'm concerned. And whether it's whether it's Winnipeg tonight or whether it's the Kings on Thursday, the Ducks are in for a tough stretch here before the Stadium Series game kicks off on Saturday at Dodger Stadium.
Yeah, how are you? Are you going to be there for that?
Oh yeah. We'll be covering the game and doing our radio show as part of the post game as well. So lots of coverage. Actually, going to take a twirl out on the Dodger Stadium ice tomorrow night. So pretty excited about that.
Wow.
And then the team, of course, will be taking their practice on Friday, and then the game on Saturday.
Any thoughts going through your head as they prepare to play this in warm weather?
It's going to be great. Dan Craig and the whole crew there, as everybody's been talking about over the last couple of weeks, they do a great job. I'm not really concerned about the ice. You go back, people tend to forget. long before the Winter Classic and the Heritage Classic and, everybody's classic, it wasn't even a classic, but it is a classic, if you will. There was a game in Vegas.
Yeah, that's right.
At Caesars Palace 20-something years ago. Ice outside, not going to be a big deal. It has been unseasonably warm here in Los Angeles over the last 2 weeks, but everything's going to be fine. It's going to be awesome. 50,000 people at one of the most beautiful ballparks in all of the country, Dodger Stadium, Kings, Ducks. You really can't ask for more.
John, looking at John Tolorado, what do you take from that whole situation with the Canucks and the Flames? I mean, who was in the right, who was in the wrong, and was it the right amount?
I mean, wait a minute. You can't go storming down the hallway to the other room. I mean, that's crazy. And you're hearing today how some of the guys that were kicked out, they were already back in the little annex off the dressing room there, and they were stretching and doing their thing, watching live on TV. The cameras caught Torts coming down the hallway, and these guys from the Flames come running out, and, they I don't know. I won't say cooler heads prevailed because that's not really what happened. They basically were able, I guess, to push Tortorella off to the side and keep him from getting into wherever he wanted to go and whatever it is that he felt that he needed to do. He was clearly in the wrong, and I don't understand. I tend to side with the camp that says, why is Bob Hartley? Let me preface this by saying, not a Bob Hartley fan, never been impressed with the guy, but why is Bob Hartley being fined? He's allowed to start whoever he wants to start on his roster. Isn't that a coach's discretion? Now we're saying guys can't start, their fourth line or whatever. The whole thing is ridiculous. But Tortorella, 6 games, 15 days, he's just like a bad train wreck. You want to turn away, but you can't. You have to watch.
Well, they were victorious without him tonight, so I don't know what that says. That said, though, it you know what? It was against Edmonton, so I don't know how much they needed him for that. But they did win tonight. Roberto Luongo looked pretty good. Vancouver's one of those teams. They're not as good as they were when they got to the final. They still have some pieces. What do they do come the deadline, John? I mean, do they add something? Do they just kind of stand pat and realize that this is the end of an era, or what do you think they do?
Well, I'll be honest with you. I don't see what they can add to that team that's going to make really that big of a difference. You said end of an era, and that's probably a good way to say it. They've been feasting for years on a weaker division. Everybody's known it. Everybody's talked about it. But people really didn't realize how ill-equipped this Vancouver Canucks team was to compete in the big, bad, banging bodies of the Western Conference and specifically the Pacific Division this year. They've had their lunch handed to them. They've won one game. They're 1-10 against the Pacific Division teams from California, the Kings, the Sharks, the Ducks. That's one win, guys, in 11 games. And they've lost 2 out of 3 to the Phoenix Coyotes, the California's cousin, if you will. So when Vancouver travels south here to the West Coast, they just can't hang with these guys. And I just don't see what they're going to be able to do. The best trade piece they have might be a guy like Ryan Kessler, and, look what he does for them offensively. They're not going to move him. So barring, 5 new players coming in, they're just not going to be able to compete come playoff time. I don't see it.
John, looking at the New York Rangers and Rick Nash and how well he's been playing, is it a coincidence that he's now on a hot streak after he's been named to Team Canada?
I'll be honest with you. I really don't put a lot of credence into the fact that he was named to Team Canada. And I've said many, many times over the last couple of weeks, he's the one guy that I look at that roster and I scratch my head and go, why? Why is that guy on the roster? Outside of 2 weeks, in Vancouver in 2010 during the other Olympics, what is his supposed reputation that he has? The fact that he's a big player doesn't really excite me when you look at the larger ice surface over there in Russia. I just don't understand how he makes that team, especially when you look at some of the names that were left off of it. So congratulations. He can score a hat trick every night between now and Sochi. He's still a guy that I think doesn't belong on that roster.
Tell us how you really feel, though, John.
I get fired up.
You know what? I seeing St. Louis score 4 goals the other night. It's like, what? Why, Steve? Your own player in Tampa Bay. I can't believe it, Steve. But anyway, I digress. He is John Hoven again. He'll have some coverage as we get closer to that outdoor game or the outdoor games in Dodger Stadium. Check out mayorsmanor.com or check him out on twitter.com/mayor. NHL as well. That's the way to send you off.
All right, boys, and I'm going to tweet that list of the 30 best and worst NHL jerseys right now.
Yeah, Mo loves jerseys, sports jerseys, so he'll eat that up. Thank you.
All right, we'll talk to you guys later.
There you go. It's John Hoven.